Since there's been so many recent controversies, everybody's wondering what FBAs are. And here's a simple explanation. It's a lineage of people. For example, if you go to Ireland, the people there are Irish. If you go to Ethiopia, the people there are Ethiopian. If you come to America and you're talking about the American black people who are descendants of freedmen, also known as descendants of the enslaved, that is a foundational black American. It's not an ideology. It's not a group. And even FBA people will be talking about this and they'll be on YouTube talking about, yeah, the FBA group or the FBA members. I'm like, bro, you don't even know it, but you're FBA. Like, what are you talking about? I just thought this was common knowledge at this point. You know what I mean? Like people who are tapped in, I guess people who are tapped into Tariq's channel or the Black Authority or even Dr. Umar, because, you know, there's a little back and forth between Dr. Umar and some FBA sometimes, but Dr. Umar's FBA, you know, like even if you don't subscribe to certain popular voices within the foundational Black American community, you can still be a foundational Black American. It's basically a way of referring to us rather than referring to ourselves as African Americans, because Africa's not a country. So since we don't have our own separate country outside of America, we're just using a way to describe ourselves that makes sense for our lineage that goes back since before this country was even called America. A lot of our ancestors were here prior to Christopher Columbus and all of that. A native Black person that is from America whose parents did not immigrate from Brazil, did not immigrate from Africa, did not immigrate from Europe or anywhere else in the world. Our ancestors were descendants of slaves in the United States of America. Now, one of the reasons that we have chosen to self-identify is because we have a specific set of political problems within this country that have not been addressed and that are actively not being addressed on purpose. For example, reparations for slavery. No other group of people were enslaved in the United States, had our wealth stolen consistently. You know, there's so many different things. Y'all know about the stuff at this point. And if you act like you don't, a lot of you are just gaslighting. But, you know, redlining, civil rights, blah, 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 the whole nine. So the people who fought for all that, and the people who don't get their just due and people don't give us a certain level of respect and understanding of why some of us who are in the bad situations that we're in are in those situations. They don't want to look at the historical context. They just want to talk down on us or blah, blah, blah. That's why it's time for us to just stop being Santa Claus and trying to look out for everybody else when it's not reciprocal and look out for ourselves. And that's the problem that we're trying to solve right now. It ain't to hate on nobody else. It's just to focus on ourselves. And you got to take care of you before you take care of anybody else. It's just like the pilot tell you when you're inside of an airplane, you got to put your own air mask on before you can put anybody else's on. That's what it is right now when it comes to that. There's outspoken figures such as Tariq Nasheed, the Black Authority, Brother Marcel Dixon. You know, there's people who speak up on our issues politically to do what's in our own best interest. I mean, we have so many just phenomenal people in our history that come from our culture, and our culture just gets whittled down to just drill rappers and strippers and all this. Like, it's a small part of what we represent as a whole. You know, we have intellectuals and scholars and people who travel the world. Like I said, we're not a monolith. We represent 43 plus million people in this country. You can't find 43 million people anywhere who are exactly the same. We're just trying to look out for ourselves and speak up for ourselves and take care of ourselves and elevate, because our group is at the bottom within this society. It's like Dr. Claude Anderson warned us about. I was sharing Dr. Claude Anderson videos in like 2010. Nobody was even paying attention, you know, and then all of a sudden in 2020, he gets on the Breakfast Club and boom, he blows up, and I'm glad he did. And I'm not mad about it, but I had Powernomics in 2010. So I've been focused. I've been studying, but this ain't about me. I'm trying to describe to y'all what a foundational Black American is, and that is me. And Dr. Claude Anderson is a powerful foundational Black American who is calling us Native Black Americans, but basically the term foundational Black American has caught on in recent years, but it's the same concept. As a group, we happen to be on the bottom economically, but we have also been actively sabotaged throughout the whole history of this country anytime we try to quote unquote pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. And that's a unique challenge that we face outside of any other group within this country. No other group has been actively sabotaged.
Listen, gotta make this video, hard video for me to do. I'm on site. Redstone Firearms, Burbank, California, has succumbed to political attacks and had to close the doors. To my knowledge, they were the first and only Black-owned gun store on the West Coast.
So that's the primary agenda, is to address this active sabotage and stop the sabotage. We fight in every war. We try to do everything we can to fit in this country and be respected, but it's just like there's something just innately about us that is just hated by the dominant society. Not saying that every white person is against us or a bigot, but if you benefit from the historical theft from my family and my lineage, that's a problem, and you need to be part of the solution rather than being a part of the problem. And a lot of us get gaslit as if we're some kind of bigots or some crazy like that. A lot of people are passionate about the problems that we have because they understand the situation that we're in. If you don't have a level of knowledge, or you're just being disingenuous, like some of these white supremacists online who want to get in groups on Twitter Space and on lives and troll people and just say certain little, what about black on black crime and crime in Chicago and all the little repetitive, boring talking points that disingenuous people say over and over. We got these people that, from different groups that we looked out for historically who get in groups together and talk crazy about us. It's just like a slap in the face. So some people kind of come off a certain way, but yeah, we're not a group. It's just a group of people. And some of those people are going to be assholes. Some of those people are going to be friendly. Some of those people are going to be whatever. We're just a group of people like any other group of people. Foundational Black Americans have played important roles throughout the country's history, from Dr. Martin Luther King to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There's Nat Turner and the Rebellion, the Maroons, Black people that share a history with us when it comes to the enslavement. Basically, they became foundational Black Americans, no matter where they came from at the time, whether they came from Africa or their ancestors or they were already here, or the people that mixed together, or people who came from the islands back in before slavery or during slavery. We're all now foundational Black Americans. If one of your parents are foundational Black American, you are foundational Black American. There can be issues at times, like what the Candace Owens is. I believe she's half foundational Black American, but she identifies as Caribbean. That can get tricky. If she's half, technically she would be, but she just couldn't speak for us politically because she'd be doing the whole sellout thing and the white worship thing. So that don't really fly in a lot of foundational Black American circles, especially those of us who are politically active and those of us who study history. That's not really going to fly in our circles like that. But like I said, we're not a group. So if someone you meet that's a descendant of someone who was enslaved prior to 1850 and all that, whether they're aware of it or not, they're foundational Black American. You even got people who troll, white people who come in and troll Tariq Nasheed from time to time and call themselves foundational white Americans at this point in time. So it's a weird times we're living in. But if y'all have any questions, if I didn't cover something, y'all just ask me in the comments and maybe I'll cover it on the next one. I'm Sonny Bravo. If you like this video, check out the next video. I'm putting this little box right here. I'm gonna holler at y'all next time. One.